and our boy Anil Roberts, Senator Anil Roberts. A pleasant good morning to you. You can take the first one first, the second one which I talk about, which is that pay hike and the opposition silence. That is what people are saying. But I know before, I heard the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa rejected, and what it is Lennox Smith mentioned there about, I'm sure you heard what Lennox Smith mentioned there, Senator Anil Roberts. Go ahead, my brother.
Good morning to the ground report. Good morning, Andy, Lennox, everybody. Good morning, Gael, the Caribbean. Let me tell you something. I have been silent on it because there is nothing to speak about. The SRC can recommend $1 billion for Rowley. It's a recommendation. It's absolutely nothing. Rowley had tell his friend and them to recommend something ludicrous, to have all your talking a sort of nonsense and not focusing on the thief money, the $2.6 billion the PNM thief out and cannot account for, the $1 billion they spend and cannot account for, that Jaiwanti Ramdas, an independent auditor, have called me but upside down and string up all over the place in the Privy Council. The Privy Council say, why is the Minister of Finance not being investigated? And we hear nothing from ERLA, we hear nothing from FIU, we hear nothing from Fraud Squad, we hear nothing from the police, because we live in a country that is not real. We live in a place where Rowley is a tyrannical oppressor. We reached 569 murders. The media, the police, and the PNM, just so they're cheating on murder and all, they discounted by 24, even though websites and social media news teams have been counting from midnight, from 1 minute past midnight on the 1st of January. They were counting and showing you, and we know that we reached 569 murders, and we still have a month and 10 days to go. This country is in a mess. The foreign exchange crisis. People cannot even get goods to sell for Christmas. The banks shutting down your credit card limit. You're going in the bank and getting $50. You cannot go away. You can't bring a barrel. You can't do nothing because Rowley has bankrupted our entire nation. And all you want to discuss what some mad people suggest. I don't discuss suggestion. That and nothing is the same thing. They want to distract you from the criminal negligence of the PNM. The borders are open, Lennox and Andy. You go outside there, guns, drugs, human trafficking in that 7 miles in the Gulf of Paria, coming across from Venezuela. Venezuelans bringing animals, and they all down on Cedros. They're rearing animals and putting that into our food supply without any testing, without any class modification. And we go in and eat it. We don't know what shop, where it come from, how it reached. We are in a total mess. The country is in chaos. When it drizzles for half an hour, total flood out. Rowley drive past, over 20,000 people in flood to go to tour a platform for oil and gas. Rowley and Smallpin only negotiating all over the place with suppliers. When that is not good corporate governance, that is pure red flag for thieving. The dragon cannot dance because Trump win an election. Trump put Marco Rubio as the Secretary of State elect. Marco Rubio has been at loggerheads and war with the tyrannical dictator Maduro. Elon Musk is the president-elect's best friend, and Elon Musk has tweeted out that he is going to ride in for Maduro, that tyrannical, oppressive dictator in Venezuela. He's going to ride in on a donkey and take him out. That means that Rowley, whatever deal Rowley cut with Maduro and Delcy and Telechea, who now locked up by Maduro, is dead. But they're telling you, the people, hold strain, pay more tax, take more pressure. Dragon coming. They have no flipping dragon. They bankrupt the economy. Petrochin refinery is closed. But admit now that Petrochin refinery was a net earner of foreign exchange. But sell out the whole truth. They've been lying to you day in, day out. All you want me to discuss are recommendation up in the sky like Santa Claus. The SRC have been instructed by Rowley to throw out something so ludicrous, so dotage, so insensitive. And we take it as basket and start to discuss that. And then Rowley will come and say, oh, I reject that. Look at me. I am a good prime minister. I am sacrificing myself. I don't want $1 million and 28,000 extra plus pension. Please vote for me. Even though you all are suffering, even though I cannot account for 2.6 billion, even though we spend $1 billion, we have no bills, no payment, no paperwork. Please vote for me because I love you and I want to make the rich richer. All you come on, man.
I want to tell you, Senator, go to the top of the class. I mean, you have, of course, brought music in terms of the reality of Trinidad and Tobago and the distractions associated with this government that has become idiosyncratic of it. And of course, the people are at a stage of being ad nauseum, sickening with that kind of nonsense. So I'm glad that you have put it in perspective in terms of that. But what are your comments with respect, of course, to the obiter dicta or the by the way comments of one of the justices of the Privy Council that says that why it is that inmate was not being investigated?
Well, Lennox, that is what we need to pay attention to, because just about 4 weeks before that, the Attorney General of the PNM and the PNM was waiving a judgment from the Privy Council, boasting that the Privy Council ruled in their favor, so to speak, so that they could bring the TTRA to go and dig up in your money and make sure they tax you every last cent so them could thief it out. They were boasting about that. But when I read the judgment from those people across the pond who have no understanding of the PNM and the tyrannical nature and the oppressive way that they govern, and that they have a PNM president in President House, and they interfere with the Police Service Commission, they thwart a merit list, they attack the DPP, they move the integrity chairman because he investigated Rowley for Chinese Gate and not declaring a $500,000 benefit from a contractor. Them don't know about Trinidad and Tobago politics. Them don't know about how rotten PNM is. And in that judgment, which they simply said that the government has the right to choose, well, that public servants are not the only one who could tax people. In other words, somebody could be hired on a contract to do the work. That's basically what they said. However, in a certain paragraph, the judges, the law lord said, but this process of selection must be bereft of political influence. It must be pure and impartial. It must be unbiased. And that was the key words, because in the TTRA, would Imbert and the PNM choosing the board of the TTRA, which is PNM sycophants, and the board of the TTRA then advertising and hiring the Director General, who would be a PNM, and the Director General and all the other aspects of the tax being controlled by the PNM. It is a rotten fruit. It is disgusting, and it is politically influenced. Now you flash forward to this judgment now, and people do not even understand how ludicrous, how embarrassing, how disgusting, how dotish the PNM is, and how they drag our flag. Imagine the PNM going to the Privy Council to argue a case. They make submission and they argue a senior counsel, Douglas Mendez, who should hang his head in shame, hang up his boots, hang up his law robe, give away all his law book, and hide from every citizen because he's an embarrassment to himself the law profession and Trinidad and Tobago, he goes and makes an argument for 2 hours, Lennox. And law lords who are independent listen to these arguments. And when the Douglas Mendes sit down and he finished making his best, most robust argument, they sit down in awe at the asininity that they have just heard. They look at the opposing counsel and say, listen, you sit down, we don't need you to even talk. What we have just heard is the most ridiculous, dotish, unethical, immoral, illogical nonsense. Go back and go in the court. We don't need to hear it. And furthermore, why is this man's client not being investigated? Why is the Minister of Finance not being investigated, having not provided information on money spent and revenue claimed? Do you understand that that is from a pure, independent, they so don't know nothing about PNM and the politics. They just look at something impartially, rationally, and they say without equivocation, it is absolutely absurd. It is ridiculous. It is beyond the pale of logic. Within 5 minutes, that shows you how sick our country has become. Because the media in Trinidad and Tobago, the mass media, the PNM, the Express, the Newsday, the Guardian, the TV6, and the CNC3, they give credence to that. Remember when Rowley came with emails that were not emails, that they were not even email addresses. It couldn't even enter the cloud. It couldn't go nowhere because they did not even have enough characters to create an email. You know, the media and a certain judge who was on the Integrity Commission say, even though they are not emails, that you have to investigate the contents of something that does not exist.
Justice Vento, who is today the lone, I believe, commissioner for investigating the acquisition of land for under the Kamala Prasad administration for the extension of the area. Go ahead.
PNM. You see the arrogance of the PNM. You see the disgusting nature of the PNM clearly. And we in Trinidad and Tobago must take that judgment, and every single citizen who has a modicum of intelligence must reject the lying, thieving PNM from Rowley, Smallpin, Imbut, Synonym. Come down the road. It is an embarrassment.
Total and absolute. And just a minute, I just want to ask him one more
thing. Go ahead.
Incomprehensibly, and of course, amazingly, Rowley says in the parliament yesterday only that he is unaware that the justices have, of course, asked the question, why isn't Imbut investigated? I would love to hear a comment on that one.
Yes, well, Rowley is unaware that as a teacher you should not impregnate and have sex with a girl of school age. Rowley is unaware that as a married man, you should not horn your wife without a condom and make twins. Rowley is unaware that he should buy a house from a contractor who is his friend and not disclose a 500,000 discount. Rowley is unaware that he should go in the parliament and not lie down the place on a sitting prime minister. Rowley is unaware that he should take women down the house, pass 3 dogs, pass a parrot into a dungeon office and put them on a red couch to make them ministers. Rowley is unaware of a lot of things. Rowley is unaware that you should not support and uphold a dictator in Venezuela oppressing people that 8 million people run from and stealing elections. Rowley is unaware of many things. Rowley is unaware of how to take care of his children. Rowley is unaware of how to love his people. Rowley is unaware that he is a prime minister. Rowley is unaware that people are suffering. Rowley is unaware that the rich must not continue to get richer. So I really couldn't care less what the hell Rowley say. Rowley must get out of here.
And of course, his comment on the UNC appear not to want the truth, when of course Imbut, in his enthusiasm or his exuberance, he said, of course, the the solo creed. He in Parliament, of course, referred to it as the badge, when in fact it was the tongue that was that's the legal term they use, arrested in Angola, and of course he was of course making heavy weather of it in preparation for some kind of compensation as a consequence. What's your view on that one?
Well, I was sitting in the
Senate.
But is such an idiot. The Attorney General, the one who went and lied in a court of foreign jurisdiction in Miami, the one who couldn't file a case and lost a lawsuit for 21 million, the Attorney General who sits there as the head of the PNM, the biggest idiot in the history of Attorney General. He surpassed Faris. I thought Faris was the greatest dunce ever swearing as an AG. But this one that they get from Dominica, well, he more dotish. He handed him but a piece of paper. Him but the Minister of Finance, the former acting Prime Minister, did not even read and vet it. He just take it from him, glance at it, and then gallery on his feet in the Senate about they have arrested the Solo Creed in Angola and so on. When you read the truth, the Navy in Angola had arrested that boat since May 12, 2024. So them didn't arrest nothing. Angola, they were going, and that vessel went into some uncharted waters where Angola Navy said you are not allowed to go there without permission, and it had been arrested. So they have found nothing, they know nothing. What I want to know is what is the DNA of the oil? Is it sanction oil? Is it Venezuela oil? Is it PDVSA oil? Is it Delcy oil? Is it Maduro oil? Is it Wilmero Petty oil? Rowley needs to get out of this country. Even PNM people must reject Rowley like the woman's arm of Lavity West rejected Fitzgerald at Talbot, narcolepsy, wooden ladder, ride a horse with an 8-year-old boy in his lap hands.
We have had, of course, Anil Roberts, Senator people at his best.
Yes.
Of course, people we have been speaking with, of course, active Senator, of course, Anil Roberts, member, of course, and on the UNC bench, so to speak. I don't know if you have any other thing, Andy.
Closing comments, man. After he talk, what anybody could say after Anil Roberts, Senator Anil Roberts talk. Senator Anil Roberts, your closing remarks.
Senator.
My closing remarks to the children of Trinidad and Tobago as you go into an exam week: study hard, put your heads down. The UNC, Kamala Prasad, Visesa, Tim Gopi Singh, all of the UNC members believe in merit. We believe that the brightest must rise to the top. We will not take dunces who cannot pass maths like Camille Robinson Regis and make her minister. We will not take dunces like Fitzgerald Dunce at Albert Hines, who could not pass common entrance and only got 1 out of 7 passes at O-level, and put them in charge of your lives and your security. We will find the best of the best. We believe in merit. So you children, study hard. The UNC is coming to save us from this morass of cesspit governance of the PNM. Reject the PNM.
Thank you very much, of course.
The Ground Report with